It's almost been 9 years since a Chase Sapphire Reserve was released, and it's been one of my favorite credit cards until today. It released at a $450 annual fee level, then $550, and now it's $795. And it's not the number, it's about what the card has to offer. And it's finally time to say goodbye. In this video, I'll be sharing my analysis of these new changes, what I'm going to be doing next, and based on my situation, if you're in a similar one, pretty much what you could be doing in terms of your own next steps with everything with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Let's get into it. I could start off this video with all the reasons and all the happiness I've received over the years, but that's pretty pointless at this time. So what's next is basically what this card has to offer for us now, and does it even matter? To baseline, new card details are as follows, and then I'll drill down step by step. Chase is supremely hunkering down on their own ecosystem for everything Chase Travel, which is their internal travel portal, and we're going to be looking at 8x points per dollar spent for flights, hotels, cruises, rental cars, and anything else you can book through their internal portal. And if we're not booking through the portal, we're looking at 4x points per dollar spent when we're spending directly with airlines and hotels. For that $795 annual fee, we're looking at a few credits to offset it, but in the end, is it going to be worth it is the real question. And a couple more earning categories before we get into the credits are going to be 3x on every dollar spent for dining and 1x everywhere else. So breaking it down out of $795, the first credit is going to be the same $300 travel credit that used to exist prior, which is super flexible. You can use it towards anything travel. So like Airbnb, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, literally Expedia.com, Booking.com, Priceline, what have us. And towards the end of the video, I'll break down my personal situation and rationale for exactly where I think I'm landing for the annual fee I'm trading for what value/benefits I'd also be receiving. In addition to that $300, we're looking at $500 to the edit, which is basically like Amex's Fine Hotel and Resorts collection, which is essentially more premium upscale properties. And this is distributed not $500 for the whole year, but in semi-annual increments of $250 each. And although it sounds like, hey, you can get max value from this credit, the caveat is that you have to book a 2-night stay minimum, and the nights at these hotels aren't going to be like 50, 100, or 150 necessarily. We're talking in the high hundreds to thousands. On a very similar note, there's also another $300 credit, which is specifically for dining when redeeming it through the Sapphire Reserve's exclusive tables program. What this is essentially more fine dining and that type of tier of everything restaurants. So even though it sounds like 300, it's not like, hey, 30 times $10. It really is, a situation where you could be getting value or not, but would you be spending at these restaurants is another question. And if you are, then great. The other part is that they are really in the more major cities. So if you live in the middle of nowhere, then you really have to be able to take advantage of this credit by going maybe to a more bigger metropolitan type of city. And it's also, again, caveated with being distributed as $150 each 6 months of the year. From there, we got Apple TV Plus and Apple Music, which is advertised to be valued at $250 each year. For me, apart from being an Android user primarily, today I don't pay for these subscriptions. And even though it's an advertised benefit/advantage you could get, it's not something that I would value, honestly, at this time. From there, we got $420 to DoorDash, which is really $120 to Dash Pass, which is their membership program, kind of like Uber One, where you get kind of free deliveries, offers, and savings, and these type of things. And then $300 divided by 12 months. So it's really $25 each and every month. And specifically, it's going to be $10 per order that's not for ordering food. So for example, retail or like CVS, Walgreens, those type of things through DoorDash. And then $5 towards an actual dining order that's made through DoorDash. Similar to the $120 a part of that DoorDash credit that's used towards Dash Pass, you get $120 for Lyft. This is specifically divided, again, over 12 months, so you get $10 per month to be used on Lyft. And in general, we'd be looking at 5x points per dollar spent when using Lyft. The next credit, again, is distributed in that semi-annual way, where in the first 6 months and the second 6 months, you'll get X amount of credits. And we're looking at $300 to StubHub, distributed as $150 in the first half and another $150 in the second. And then here's the final credit, which we get kind of more in the base case by just having this card without spending, let's say, $2,000 or $4,000 or $5,000. There's actually more benefits you would unlock if you spend more than 75 grand a year. And so this final credit is going to be $120 towards Peloton, which is going to be $10 per month towards our memberships. And you get 10x on Peloton spend, which means absolutely nothing to me. frankly. Now, right before we get into the benefits that you get after the 75K in spend threshold, you also get IHG Platinum status, which is their level of hotel status. It's going to be one rung below their maximum of Diamond. And if you spend $75K in a year, then you'd be looking at Diamond status complimentary, $500 in Southwest airline credits each and every year whenever you pass this $75K in spend. You also get A-list airline status with Southwest and a $250 shops at Chase credit. And right before I get into my personal analysis, there's also $120 credit towards global entry and TSA PreCheck, which was there prior and kind of expected at an annual fee tier of such a card, which now is no longer a travel card, but more of a lifestyle card. So here's my personal analysis, and afterwards I'll show us kind of the numbers if I really had to justify this annual fee, and if I was going to keep, cancel, or what am I going to do with this card, right? So here in my hands is the IHG Premier card. And the reason why I'm even showing us this card is because basically with this card, you get platinum status anyhow. And yeah, it has a $99 annual fee, but it also comes with one free reward anniversary night worth up to 40K IHG points, which just depending where you're going to redeem, you could get way more than this $99 in annual fee value recouped without even really spending on the card just year over year. That being said, having the Chase Sapphire Reserve updated version isn't really a value add in my situation. And so from that perspective, like this is kind of a negation. It doesn't really matter. And I know it's not going to be the same situation for everyone watching, but I'm sharing basically where with my product mix, it almost really is not going to make a lot of sense. So let me take this a step further. When it comes to the $120 for global entry, TSA PreCheck, and other insurances, at this time, I have the Capital and Venture X and the Amex Platinum. And a lot of people, even prior, they're like, why do you have those two and a Chase Sapphire Reserve? But mathematically, it always could make sense in general, just based on what you're doing. Where the USP, the unique selling point for the Chase Sapphire Reserve for me, was always that capability to transfer points to Hyatt, which can be done through the BILT Mastercard by Wells Fargo for free, which has no annual fee, and you're getting 3x per dollar spent on dining category, which is the same thing with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And more than that, I was always looking at the 1.5 cents per point on the Chase Travel Portal for, let's say, domestic redemptions versus, cashing out at 1 penny a point and then still trying to spend on the Chase Sapphire Reserve to earn a few more points. That was always at least a backup option / default option, I would say. And now that's also taken away. So with this refresh, you get only 1 penny a point on the Chase Travel Portal, where you have up to 2 cents per point, promotions. But these promotions are going to be more for premium cabin airfare, not your basic economy type of redemptions. So in other words, it's for folks that are going to be those bigger spenders or more of that luxury lifestyle experience compared to the average Joe. The 8x points we earn per dollar spent on Chase's Travel Portal, it sounds great, and it was 10x prior, but whether it's 10 or 8 or 9 or 7, like in the end of the day, like it's cool, but it's not like I'm really doing all of my travel bookings through the portal. But that's basically the product that Chase is trying to push and market, try to make it sticky or a one-stop shop. Because another benefit of this card is you kind of have like this travel concierge experience where folks can, book your travel, book your experiences and all these type of things. But in the end of the day, like, for me at least, maybe I'm definitely not the target consumer, but maybe, if you have a more higher lifestyle, you have like a whole family and trips to plan for, you're a busy executive or, just very busy in the business, then I totally get where this service could be a true service. And then coming to the 4x per dollar spent on hotels and airlines when we're spending directly with them with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, I'll say with Amex Platinum, you're going to get 5x membership reward points, which is their currency, for each and every dollar spent when we're going directly with the airline. And 4x on hotels, it's actually not as bad as it seems when we compare it to another Chase card, which is the World of Hyatt card, which I've always wanted to get, with that unique selling point of that card being apart from, hey, you pay like a $95 annual fee or $99 annual fee and you're getting a free reward night each and every year, which is very similar to the IHG Premier card that I was sharing here. But at the same time, the best part about it was you get 4 Hyatt points per dollar spent when you're spending with the World of Hyatt card, which was that, oh, hey, we're getting 1 more point than how the Chase Sapphire Reserve card gives us 3x for each and every point spent on travel, aka hotels in this case. So now we're getting 4x, like that sounds great. But is it going to move the needle enough to make it justifiable? Honestly, if we're spending that much directly with hotels and airlines, sure, maybe, but it's not like it's 6x or 7x, which obviously that would be a dream of its own. What am I going to miss if I don't have the Chase Sapphire Reserve card anymore? First one, I would say, is their lounge access. Their lounges are pretty fire, and similar to the Amex Insurance Lounge Network and Capital One's, they're growing year over year over year. And it's basically like an ecosystem, like Apple versus Google, kind of deal, but with credit cards where it's like, oh, different issuers have their lounges. And that kind of is that like, hey, if you have this card, it's basically like membership, right? You get access to, this type of network. And that when I see it in the airport, if I don't have my reserve, it's going to feel kind of like, oh man, I wish I had it, but it's not like a total deal breaker in general. And I don't think it should be for most folks. But again, I have the Amex Platinum. I have the Capital One Venture X. So I have these other premium cards, which really help towards not me feeling like I don't have access to the one unique lounge network if all I had was a Chase Sapphire Reserve. One of the biggest points of contention that I've been having with everything with keeping or canceling or doing something else with the Chase Sapphire Reserve is this point right here. And it's really going to come down to credit card strategy and earning/redeeming points. Today, from a Chase flagship card perspective, so like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, Freedom Flex, Chase Sapphire Preferred, Reserve, this type of lot, and not including business cards at this time, I have 3 Freedom Flexes and 1 Sapphire Reserve. And so what that means is I've basically been earning points through these rotational 5% categories, which is what the Flex offers us, and then transferring them basically internally, combining points to the Sapphire Reserve, and then transferring those out to partners. But in general, the earn rate that I'm getting on each and every dollar spent because of these other cards within the Chase flagship card ecosystem, that's how I've been able to earn more points, more than just like 1x or 2x or even 3x everywhere else. So with that said, now I'm like, wait, if I don't have my reserve, I can't transfer points out to these partners. And so what does that mean for all these other Chase cards? Even though they have no annual fee, it's like, am I going to just stop spending with Chase? Do I just migrate my whole strategy to everything American Express? Or do I get, let's say, the Capital One Savor, which I don't have at this time, but I have the Capital One Venture X. And there's a famous duo known as the Capital One Duo. I made a video, I'll put it over here. But this is where now I'm thinking like, okay, what does the longer term outlook look like? Because the numbers from an annual fee perspective, the $795, and then what value I could be getting, I'll show us right now. And then it's kind of like, okay, like what's the next step? So this is what the numbers look like. We got an annual fee of $795, and we have the advertised value in this column, and then the true value is really what I'm considering the true value for me. And so Edit Hotel, $500. I'm valuing it at 0 because it's just outside of my normal expenditure realm. The Flex Travel Card at $300 over the last like 9 years or what have us. $300, I've been getting the full value of this credit just because it's spend I'd be doing anyways throughout the year. The exclusive tables program, it's again like more higher end, fancier restaurants, no worries with that. But I wouldn't be spending the same $300 at face value. And so I'm valuing it at, let's say, $150. Apple TV Plus, music, $0 because I don't even use it today. It would just be a free benefit, but not really something I look at as with a monetary value. DoorDash, $420. Again, the $120 to DoorDash, aka Dash Pass, that's cool, but I wouldn't be paying for it out of pocket. So then out of that, there's $300 left. And so let's say half the time I'm getting that value and feeling not stretched because of the fact that, hey, DoorDash charges all the fees and this and that, I'm valuing it at $150. And so Lyft, very similar note, $120, $10 each and every month. Half of the time, let's say I get that value like in an easy kind of realistic way, that's $60 right there. Peloton, $0. StubHub, I say 100 out of 300 because why? Because why not? Because at least it will help if I ever make a StubHub booking, which I've basically never made in years in my actual life. So surprisingly, the total comes out to $760 for a $795 annual fee. And in general, like I still have the capability to transfer to partners if I don't kind of cancel or downgrade this card or what have us. But at this point, it's literally a break-even coupon book, which I'm not really looking forward to taking advantage of. So my plan is going to be to take this Chase Sapphire Reserve, downgrade it to, let's say, a Freedom Unlimited. So at least I have that kind of card in the mix. But then I'll be left with a Freedom Unlimited and 3 Freedom Flexes and no way of really transferring these points that I'll be earning with these cards to partners until I have another transfer partner eligible card like a Chase Sapphire Preferred or one more time for the reserve. So maybe I'll start amassing points or keep amassing points and then upgrade one of these flexes to a CSP, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, so I can transfer to partners, but it's definitely going to be a TBD. And this is something I got to noodle on because I feel like I have the answer of exactly what I just said, but it's one of those, it's like letting go of your favorite card after so long. So if you take out the emotion, the logic says, screw it, man, just keep it moving forward. And I got these other premium travel credit cards and just keep on rocking and rolling. So if you came this far, appreciate it. And thanks for coming to the end. Peace for now.